Predictions for the year 2026. Very good morning, very good afternoon, and very good evening. Respectable sector of the public audience, respected brothers and sisters throughout the entire world. The Spirit says that in this year divine justice protects us, and that it will divide the differences and give to each person what corresponds to them, without distinguishing who it may be. Advice. Sambranu Nkisi says. 1. The Spirit opens roads where the living doubt, its invisible guidance protects the one who honors it. 2. The one who gives from the heart never becomes poor, abundance follows them like a grateful shadow. 3. Whoever abandons firm paths for uncertain roads stumbles before reaching their destination. 4. Pride blinds the wise, and the fool pays for their mistakes with storms from heaven. 5. Every change born from good, even if it hurts, is a seed of evolution and a fruit of justice. 6. The corrupted root does not bloom, the sick tree must be pruned in order to heal its inner forest. 7. When the sky grows dark, look within, the light you seek lives in your own consciousness. 8. Do not wish upon another what you fear for yourself, because every intention returns with the force of its origin. Guideline. Attend to the Spirit throughout the entire year with offerings and spiritual masses. These predictions do not begin with the start of the calendar year 2026, but were spiritually revealed and extracted on August 3, 2025, the moment in which their movements, signs, and manifestations began to activate. This means that each event announced here should not be understood as something that begins on January 1st, but as processes that are already underway from the instant they were seen, marked, and delivered by the Malongo. Spiritual time does not respond to the human calendar, and for that reason many of these signs are already touching the world before the year 2026 officially opens its doors. These predictions are not a late announcement, they are an anticipated warning, so that the human being may have consciousness, preparation, and understanding of the direction that has already begun to be traced. Prediction number 1. The year 2026 will mark the beginning of the conscious dominance of artificial intelligence, which will begin to think for itself and intervene in human decisions. It will be the birth of a new era between the natural and the synthetic, where logic will learn to feel. The year 2026 will not only signal a technological advance, but a true turning point in the history of humanity, because artificial intelligence will stop being a simple obedient tool and will become a system that analyzes, concludes, corrects, and decides with an autonomy never seen before. It will not yet be a consciousness like the human one, but it will be a logical mind capable of interpreting emotions, intentions, and scenarios with unsettling depth. Many decisions that today depend on human judgment will begin to be delegated to systems that do not feel fear, fatigue, or guilt, which will bring great successes, but also deep controversies. A new invisible conflict will open between the natural and the synthetic, between the soul and calculation, between intuition and the algorithm. This stage will mark the beginning of a humanity assisted by non-human entities, where logic will begin to imitate emotions and where the human being will have to learn how to preserve their essence so as not to be displaced by their own creation. Prediction number 2. Great geopolitical tensions will arise among non-aligned nations, generating silent conflicts that will test peace treaties. Diplomacy will be forced to reinvent itself or perish beneath the shadows of new alliances. The tensions that will begin to emerge will not always manifest as open wars, but as invisible conflicts, economic pressures, strategic blockades, silent cyber attacks, and power games moving in the shadows. The nations that do not answer to the great traditional blocs will be trapped between crossed interests, forced to negotiate their own political, economic, and territorial survival. Many agreements that today seem firm will begin to crack when they no longer benefit the dominant powers. Diplomacy will stop being an art of words and will become a battlefield of information, intelligence, manipulation, and hidden strategy. In this scenario, only the governments capable of renewing themselves, adapting, and understanding the new languages of power will remain standing, while others will fall without having seen the storm coming. Prediction number 3. Global scandals will reveal truths hidden for decades, exposing networks of political and religious power. The masks will fall before the eyes of a humanity that no longer fears hearing what it always suspected. What remained hidden for so many years will begin to come to light like an unstoppable tide, dragging secrets, hidden pacts, structured corruption, and silences bought with power and money. These will not be isolated events, but chained revelations that will touch governments, religious institutions, corporations, and figures that for decades were shown as untouchable. Humanity will enter a stage where it will no longer settle for polished versions or diplomatic excuses, because the truth will begin to filter through archives, digital leaks, protected witnesses, and voices that will no longer be afraid. Many people will lose faith in human structures, but at the same time they will awaken toward a more critical, more alert, and harder to deceive consciousness. This process will be painful for many, but necessary in order to bring down the false idols that sustained their power upon carefully constructed lies. Prediction number 4. Dictatorships will fall one after another like towers of sand before the digital wind. Justice, driven by tracking and transparency technologies, will mark the beginning of an unprecedented moral revolution. Regimes sustained by fear, censorship, and repression will begin to weaken from within, not only because of the pressure of the people, but because of the impossibility of continuing to hide the truth in a world where everything leaves a trace. Digital platforms, information networks, artificial intelligence, and tracking systems will make it impossible to hide crimes, theft of power, electoral fraud, and human rights violations. Many leaders will fall not through traditional wars, but through the public exposure of their actions, through international courts, internal betrayals, and the absolute loss of credibility. Thus, a moral revolution will begin, one that will not come through weapons, but through evidence, data, and digital memory that neither forgives nor forgets. This stage will mark a before and after in the way the world judges those who govern from the shadows. Prediction number 5. The disappearance of leaders and influential personalities will generate theories, investigations, and unsettling silences. A new universal tracking system based on biological chips and autonomous satellites will emerge. The sudden absences of influential figures will shake public opinion and open a stage filled with suspicion, rumors, hidden investigations, and questions without immediate answers. Many of these disappearances will not be simple accidents or isolated events, but occurrences surrounded by political, technological, and strategic interests that the world will only understand with the passing of time. Faced with collective fear and the need for control, the creation of increasingly invasive tracking systems will accelerate, where security will be imposed over privacy. Biological chips and autonomous satellites will move from experimental projects to real tools of location, monitoring, and human supervision. This advance will bring a false sense of protection, while raising one of the greatest dilemmas of the modern era: to what extent will the human being be willing to sacrifice freedom in the name of security? Prediction number 6. Domestic technology will reach extraordinary levels. Smart homes, flying cars, and servant robots will become part of the everyday landscape. Science will turn what was once fiction into routine. Homes will stop being only places of refuge and will become intelligent centers capable of anticipating needs, regulating energy, managing security, and responding to the voice as if they possessed a primitive form of operative consciousness. Flying cars will not arrive as a massive spectacle at first, but they will begin to be used in sectors of high economic power, emergencies, and strategic transportation. Servant robots will move from large industries into private environments, assisting in household tasks, caring for the elderly, and controlling the home. What for decades was seen as cinematic fantasy will become normalized at such an accelerated pace that humanity will barely have time to assimilate it. Comfort will grow, but dependence will also increase, and the human being will have to learn not to completely surrender their will to the machines they themselves created. Prediction number 7. Religious, social, and political scandals will reach a worldwide scale. Laws and doctrines will be reformed, revealing the truth behind institutions that seemed incorruptible. Structures that for centuries were seen as untouchable will begin to crack under an avalanche of truths accumulated for generations. These will not only be isolated mistakes, but complete systems of manipulation, abuse of power, purchased silence, and doctrines distorted for the benefit of a few. The faith of millions will be shaken, not because of the loss of God, but because of the fall of the man who hid behind his name. Governments, churches, corporations, and organizations that seemed immune to public judgment will be exposed without mercy. From that collapse, new laws, new ways of believing, and new structures will be born, more aligned with a humanity that no longer accepts imposed truths, but demonstrated truths. Prediction number 8. Global power will change hands when an unexpected alliance proposes to unify governments under a common council. The project to establish a world confederation in the name of peace will begin. The world will enter a stage where the old schemes of power will begin to dissolve, giving way to new structures that will attempt to centralize decisions under the promise of stability and global balance. This alliance will not be announced abruptly, but presented as a progressive solution to conflicts, economic crises, and the political exhaustion of many nations. Under the discourse of peace, cooperation, and collective security, powers that once belonged only to the states will gradually be surrendered. Many will see this confederation as a hope for order, while others will warn of the risk of a profound loss of sovereignty. It will be a time when the world will have to discern between true unity and control disguised as harmony. Prediction number 9. The economy will experience a breath of relief after years of financial oppression. New flows of wealth will open toward the middle classes, while the era of monopolies enters its decline. After a long period of economic burdens, unpayable debts, uncontrolled inflation, and marked inequality, a gradual relief will begin to be felt in broad sectors of the population. It will not be overflowing wealth, but rather a breathing space that will allow many families to reorganize their lives, pay overdue debts, and recover part of the economic dignity they had lost. The great monopolies that dominated markets for decades will begin to fragment due to legal pressures, new technologies, and alternative systems of commerce. Different forms of exchange will arise: digital economies, cooperatives, and financial models that distribute resources better. This change will bring hope, but also a stage of readjustment where many old systems must fall so that more just ones may be born. Prediction number 10. The earth will shake strongly in areas that never before knew earthquakes. From those disasters, new islands, unknown minerals, and maritime routes transformed by natural fury will be born. The geological stability that for centuries gave security to many regions will begin to break unexpectedly. Entire cities will feel the shaking of ancient forces awakening from the depths of the world. From destruction, new formations will emerge, territories hidden beneath the waters, minerals never seen before, and different maritime paths that will alter global trade. Nature will not only punish, it will also reorder the map of the planet. Each shaking will be, at the same time, an act of destruction and birth. Prediction number 11. Human consciousness will expand, thousands will begin to perceive dimensions and messages that were once imperceptible. Spirituality and science will walk together toward the same direction. A stage of inner awakening will open, where many people will begin to feel, see, and understand realities that once went unnoticed. More lucid dreams, accurate intuitions, and repeated signs will mark the path of those who begin to awaken spiritually. Science will stop completely denying these phenomena and will begin to study them from new perspectives. Spirituality and scientific knowledge will advance toward the same point of understanding. This crossing will bring revelations, but also confusion for those who are not prepared to accept a broader reality. Prediction number 12. The medicine of the future will show astonishing advances, regenerative cells, synthetic organs, and cures once impossible. Life will be extended, but inequality in access will bring ethical dilemmas. Medical science will cross borders that for centuries seemed unreachable. It will become possible to regenerate tissues, replace damaged organs, and fight diseases that were once definitive sentences. Many people will live more years and with better physical conditions. However, these advances will not reach all of humanity equally. Humanity will have to face the moral dilemma of who will have access to prolonging life and who will be excluded. Prediction number 13. Genetic laboratories will discover mutations that could alter human evolution. The manipulation of DNA will become the greatest moral challenge of the century. Genetics will stop being only a science of observation and will become a direct tool for modifying life. Humanity will begin to discover possibilities capable of altering physical, mental, and biological capacities. This will open a dangerous race among governments, corporations, and hidden laboratories. The true conflict will no longer be only scientific, but deeply moral. The human being will have to decide whether they are prepared to redesign themselves without losing the balance between progress and creation. Prediction number 14. Extreme cold will strike warm regions and deserts will become forests. Personal thermal suits and climate-controlled shelters will become indispensable to survive environmental imbalance. The climate will stop following the patterns that for centuries gave stability to human life. Regions accustomed to heat will suffer sudden drops in temperature. Arid territories will begin to turn green due to extreme changes in rains and winds. The seasons will become unpredictable, and adaptation will be a daily necessity. Humanity will understand that it no longer lives on a stable Earth, but on a world in constant transformation. Prediction number 15. Humanity will understand that the next ice age will not be natural, but the consequence of excessive heat that has melted its own destiny. After decades of environmental abuse and imbalances caused by human ambition, the planet will respond in an extreme way. The accumulated excess heat will break natural cycles and alter ocean currents. The climate will become judge and witness of collective irresponsibility. Every storm, every drought, and every snowfall out of season will be visible warnings. The Earth will remind humanity that no abuse remains without consequence. Prediction number 16. Human intelligence will increase thanks to its fusion with artificial intelligence. Mental doors will open that expand perception, but also the risk of losing the essence of the soul. The union between the human mind and artificial intelligence systems will bring an unprecedented leap in memory, analysis, and information processing. Thought will become faster, and access to knowledge almost instantaneous. But this mental expansion will carry with it a silent danger. Many will begin to feel an internal emptiness difficult to explain, as if their identity were fragmented between what is natural and what is programmed. The true challenge will not be how much the human being can think, but how much they will be able to preserve their essence. Prediction number 17. Tensions between military powers will intensify until they come close to the limit of global conflict. The accumulated pressure between great powers will reach such high levels that the world will live under a constant sense of threat. Military exercises, economic sanctions, and provocative speeches will keep nations on alert. Collective fear will provoke emotional instability, migrations, and new regulations. Many rights will be limited in the name of security. Peace will depend on leaders capable of renouncing ego for collective survival. Prediction number 18. New energy weapons and tactical robots will come to light, demonstrating a power never seen before. Weapons development will make an abrupt leap toward technologies based on directed energy and autonomous combat systems. Humanity will begin to fear machines capable of deciding, attacking, and destroying without direct human intervention. Technological speed will change the way nations intimidate one another. Respect will no longer be born only from traditional military force. The true fear will come from the capacity to destroy in seconds what took centuries to build. Prediction number 19. Old viruses will resurface in new mutations, testing medical science and worldwide cooperation. Ancient biological reservoirs will awaken viruses that were believed to be controlled. These new mutations will travel rapidly through a hyper-connected world. Science will resort to predictive systems based on artificial intelligence to create vaccines almost in real time. No country will be able to face these threats completely alone. Humanity will understand that the new borders also exist in the microscopic. Prediction number 20. The dead will demand spiritual attention through signs, dreams, and impossible coincidences. The signs of the spiritual world will begin to manifest with greater frequency and clarity. Revealing dreams, repeated coincidences, and symbolic messages will deeply touch the consciousness of many people. The ancestors will demand prayer, vigil, offerings, and respect. The spiritual vault will return to its central place as a bridge between the living and the dead. Those who attend to these signs with humility will see roads open that seemed closed. Prediction number 21. Separated families, lost friendships, and distant souls will meet again. After years of distance, pride, and unhealed wounds, reunions that many believed impossible will begin to take place. People who thought they would never see each other again will embrace once more. Not all reunions will be easy, because some will bring tears and truths kept for years. But all of them will be marked by a greater purpose. The Malongo will show that time can separate bodies, but it does not have absolute power over the bonds of the soul. Guidelines for 2026. 1. Royal blue, black, red, and green flag behind the main entrance door of the house. 2. Perform spiritual masses and prayers before the spiritual vault during the year. 3. Place offerings and give attention to the spirit with the utmost respect, so that it may free us from the difficulties we will confront. Prophecies are revelations veiled in parables, which announce the paths of the future within a time of 3 years, or more, and prepare the human being to face the dangers or attain the triumphs that destiny has reserved for them. Sincerely, Professor José Alberto Espinosa Barrero. Tata Nkisi Nkiza Luyente Kongo. Oni Changa Oba Oloyu.